Good morning, children. This is Mrs. Anjum Aleem from Springfields School, Masabtank, biology teacher for class 8. Children, today we will continue with the lesson number 3, story of microorganisms, part 2. We are now in part 2, second video of part 2. I will start today with what is nitrogen fixation. Nitrogen fixation and what are its importance. Why is it important in our life? Now, changing the nitrogen into nitrates by bacteria that can be used by plants is called nitrogen fixation. What is it? 78% of the atmospheric air contains the nitrogen. So this nitrogen and 21% is oxygen. This nitrogen is a gas. It is not useful to the plants as it is. So this nitrogen is converted into the nitrates by some bacteria, specific bacteria called as the rhizobium, which is present in the roots, nodules of the leguminous plants, means pea plant. So these bacteria is converting the atmospheric nitrogen into the nitrate forms. So nitrates are now useful to the plants. This is called as a nitrogen fixation. Plants use the nitrogen only in the form of nitrates. About 78% of the air around us is nitrogen gas, but plant does not use it directly. The microorganisms like rhizobium, nostoc, anabina helps in nitrogen fixation. I will show you the image of this. See, root nodules, can you see? At the root ends, nodules are present, which contains the bacterium called as the rhizobium, and this is only found in the roots of the leguminous plants. For example, pea plant. The root nodules of the pea plant contains the bacteria called as the rhizobium, which helps in the nitrogen fixation. Now children, when the bacteria is helping the plant is also helping the bacteria by giving the shelter. So both are mutually benefiting each other. Yes? They are useful to each other. The bacteria is giving the plant the nitrates and the plant is giving the bacteria shelter. So when they benefit each other, this is called as the symbiosis. What is symbiosis? The relationship of two organisms, thus both help each other, is called as symbiosis. Rhizobium bacteria and leguminous plants are examples of symbiosis. The rhizobium fixes the nitrogen and give it to the plant, and the plant in turn gives shelter to the rhizobium bacteria. Both benefit each other, and this is called as symbiosis. You understand? Good. What are the uses of microorganisms in our daily life? Yes, children. Some microorganisms are very useful in our daily life. Bacteria are involved in making food items like curd, idli, dosa, bread, cake. Some are used in the preparation of medicines to cure diseases. Microorganisms are useful in making vaccines. Some microorganisms are farmer friendly, they increase the soil fertility, right? So microorganisms are useful to us in many ways. They are also useful. They help us in cleaning the environment by decomposing the dead and the waste matter. They help in the sewage treatment. So microorganisms are very useful to us. But there are some microorganisms which may be harmful to us. So we will talk about them now. What are pathogens? How do they enter in our body? Microorganisms which cause diseases are called as the pathogens. So not all organisms are useful. Microorganisms are useful. Not all microorganisms are useful. Some are harmful also, and they are disease causing, and they are called as pathogens. They enter into our body through the air we breathe, water we drink, and food we eat. They can also be transmitted by direct contact with the infected person. So pathogens can be transferred by direct contact also. Like nowadays we talk about the COVID patient has to be isolated, isn't it? Like that. If they are in direct contact, the virus is getting infecting more people. What are communicable diseases? what diseases, what are communicable diseases? The diseases which spread from infected people to healthy ones are known as communicable disease. So now presently we have the example of COVID. COVID-19 is also a communicable disease. They spread through air, water, food, or through physical contact of infected person or through insects. Now the examples of the communicable disease: common cold, typhoid, smallpox, chickenpox, swine flu, tuberculosis, TB, chikungunya, and COVID-19, etc. So children, we have to stay at home and we have to stay safe. Avoid going out unless it is very important. The next question is, what are vectors then? Some insects and animals carry disease causing microorganisms, so they are called as vectors. Now, for example, mosquitoes. Mosquitoes carry plasmodium, which is disease causing microorganism. So, mosquitoes are the vectors. Horsefly carry the microorganisms causing cholera and typhoid. So, horsefly is a vector. Now, this you have to remember. Now, the most important topic that I am going to discuss now is some of the human diseases, the causative microorganisms, the mode of transmission, and the preventive measures. Now, children, tuberculosis is caused by bacteria and transmitted through air. Measles is caused by virus and transmitted by air. Chickenpox by virus and it can be through air or contact. Polio is by virus and it can be air or water transmission mode. Now generally the we have to take the precautions like keep the patient in complete isolation, keep the personal belongings of the patient away from those of the others. Vaccination is to be given at suitable age. Now we can add one more to this virus. We can add COVID-19 is also caused by the virus and the patient has to be in isolation and take the vaccine. Second, we have cholera and typhoid, which are caused by the microorganisms bacteria and it is transmitted by water and food. And here we have to maintain personal hygiene, good sanitary habits, consume properly cooked food and boiled drinking water, and of course vaccination. Hepatitis B is caused by the virus. You know children, you ask your parents whether you have been given the vaccination for hepatitis. It is again virus causing it and through water, and boiled drinking water should be used and vaccination. Malaria is very common disease caused by the protozoa plasmodium and the mode of transmission is through mosquito, and use mosquito net repellents, spray insecticides and control the breeding of mosquitoes by not allowing to collect in the surroundings. Now you see children, this table is there in the textbook with more examples of diseases and the organisms causing them and the modes of transmission. Go through that table. I have selected few here. Now when we talk about the diseases in human beings, we also have some of the plant diseases and caused by the microorganisms, and even this table is there in the textbook. Kindly go through it. In plants, the citrus canker. Canker is caused by the bacteria and you can see here it is transmitted by air. Rust of wheat is caused by microorganism fungi through air and seeds. Yellow vein mosaic of bendi okra. It is caused by the virus and it is mode of transmission is insect. So children, they are not only plants are getting affected with the microorganisms, even the animals also, they are also facing the problems with the microorganisms. They are also getting the diseases. So diseases are caused even to the animals. One example is anthrax disease in sheep. Okay, now here cattle, they get there. Some examples are anthrax mainly in cattle, also affects the human. Foot and mouth disease in animals, viral disease in prawns, fowl pox, bird flu in poultry, rabies in dogs. So these are the different diseases which are caused in animals by the microorganisms. So today we have seen the importance of nitrogen fixation, symbiosis, uses of microorganisms, and some of the harmful effects of microorganisms, and common diseases of plants and animals, and even in the human beings, and the causative organisms, mode of transmission, and the prevention to be taken. Children, remember what precautions you have to take for COVID-19. Please keep your hands washing every time. Use mask whenever you are going out. Maintain social distancing and try to take vaccination as early as possible. Today's homework is, what is nitrogen fixation? Write its importance. What are pathogens? How do they enter into our body? What are communicable diseases? I hope you understood the concept clearly and enjoyed watching this video. Thank you very much.